So welcome everybody. We're going to get started to respect everybody's schedules, particularly with the storm coming. I know a lot of folks are scrambling to get works and labs and team projects done. Hopefully you are here to learn a little bit more about the student funding opportunities that we have open with NC Space Grants. I want to let you all know that this session is being recorded because at some point it will be posted online for you all to watch again on demand in case there's something you missed, as well as for others who have classes and the like who could not attend. So you're welcome to leave the meeting if you don't want to be recorded, or you can turn your video off, or you can change your name on the screen. It's up to you, but I do want to let you know that. This is me. I'll be popping on the screen in a little bit, but I wanted to show the slides. I'm the Assistant Director for North Carolina Space Grants, and I'm also the Program Manager for the two opportunities we're going to talk about today. So if you have any questions at some point throughout your application process and you need to reach out to somebody, I'm the person that you will reach out to. You will find my name on the web pages, so don't feel like you have to scramble and write this down. But I am your point of contact for any follow-up questions. Okay, so I just want to give you all a little bit of a background about who we are and what we do. It will come into play a little bit as you write your applications. But just to give you guys a general understanding of the organization that you would become part of if you are to get a student award. We are called the National Space Grant College and Fellowship Program. We are authorized and appropriated, which means we get funding by Congress, and we are administered through NASA. We're a national program. There's a space grant in every single state, plus DC, Puerto Rico, US Virgin Islands, and Guam. But here in North Carolina, we do tailor our programs specifically to the needs of our state. For example, you'll notice a large aviation slant since we're the first in flight. We do this in partnership with NASA, the state of North Carolina, NC State University, where our offices are based, as well as a number of nonprofit and industry partners here in the state of North Carolina, again, and beyond. So just a little bit about what we do. So we use the work that NASA is doing. And when I say NASA, I do also include partnerships with industry and the International Space Station and others. We basically look at the work that NASA is doing, and we use that as inspiration for you to get excited about engineering and science. And hopefully with that inspiration, have you look at your academic and career pathways to apply what excites you to train yourself to then become part of the future workforce. There's a lot of challenges out there in the world. And we hope that you will address them through some of the learning that you do as part of our programs, again, using NASA at the core of your inspiration. When people ask me, when I go to a conference or a symposium or something, and people ask me, what do you do? What's your job? I very quickly joke around that I say, well, we make astronauts. And this is true in part. And I'm showing you two astronauts that came up through North Carolina Space Grant. I'm going to start actually first with the astronaut on the right, Zena Cardman, who is a science student at UNC Chapel Hill. You may recognize her recently in the news. She is the commander for the flight crew that had to come back early just a few days ago because of a medical situation with one of the crew members. So you'll see her face quite a bit. She was the commander of that mission. And on the left, you may recognize astronaut Christina Cook. She was an engineering student at NC State. She is the longest serving female on the International Space Station. She was also part of the first all-female spacewalk. And you'll be seeing her again very soon because she's the first female named to an Apollo mission, and she will be part of the mission for the crew that goes around the moon for the first time. And I wanted to show you these students just to let you know that these astronauts started with NC Space Grant. And so you would be part of a group of students who have gone on to do amazing things. But we know that not everybody is going to go on to become an astronaut. And so what we're really interested in doing is training North Carolina and the nation's future workforce. And we do that in a number of ways. We have the hands-on experiential learning in a professional environment through internships at NASA and with industry partners. We also get you involved working as part of a team, learning how to be a manager through the team competitions and challenges that we support. And we also get you really sound foundations in research approaches, methodology, and for many of you, even engaging in your own groundbreaking research through our fellowship and scholarship programs, which is at the core of what we're going to be talking about today. So these are the ones that we have open. Maximum funding level is $8,000 for undergrads. Maximum funding level is $10,000 for grads, and I'll let you know why I say maximum. We've got at least 10 awards open for undergrads and 13 for grads. This is just to let you know that it is competitive, but it's not small and limited. Like there's not only one or two, there's a pretty good number of these. And so we encourage everybody to apply. You're going to hear me talking about deadlines, not only for students, but faculty members who write letter of recommendations on your behalf. These deadlines are firm. There's going to be no exceptions whatsoever. You'll hear me again and again tell you why that is, but I'm going to go ahead and just advance. So I do want to talk a little bit about eligibility. And again, all of this information is up on the website and in the RFP, but I do get some questions. And so I just want to go ahead and review some of the eligibility requirements. First and foremost, yeah, you have to be a US citizen. This is a NASA program. It's funded with US tax dollars. Therefore, you have to be a US citizen in order to apply. It is for research in STEM fields. So you also have to be pursuing a STEM program or some kind of STEM degree, which means, for example, if you're maybe an English or music major trying to tie space into your work, we absolutely encourage you to pursue that, but this might not be the right opportunity for you. Your research must be related to a NASA mission directorate. If you've ever researched things that NASA does, inclusive of commercial space, the International Space Station, there's very little that NASA does not touch, even in our day-to-day lives. But your research has to be related to, space or aviation or drones or something related to that. We're going to talk about the mission directorates a little bit more. And there's links all over our website and the RFP, but yeah, it has to be related to something spacey. Let's just put it that way. You do have to have a minimum GPA of 3.0. That's a NASA basic minimum, and so we follow that. You will have to provide your transcripts for last semester that prove that you have that minimum GPA. They are part of the application review process. You have to be enrolled full-time as a student as of next fall. During the academic year, you cannot be enrolled for anything less than full-time. So that is just a requirement for our grant. Community colleges that are part of 2+2, eligible, dual engineering, eligible. Graduate students have to be working towards an MS or PhD. You know what that means if you're a graduate student. And you do not have to be from North Carolina, but you have to be studying at a accredited college or university in the state of North Carolina. And finally, I see some of you from last year. You are only eligible for up to 2 awards. So if you've already gotten 2, you're no longer eligible, but if you've only gotten 1, you are still eligible. You are also eligible for 2 as an undergrad, 2 as a grad student. So I just want to make some of those points clear. So let's quickly go over some frequently asked questions. These research fellowships and scholarships are intended for our recipients to learn new knowledge, skills, and abilities. So for example, if you're a PhD student who's basically done all your research and you're just in your year to write up your findings, this is not the right award for you. If you have to learn a new computer program or create new code in order to crunch your data to write up your findings, then you would be eligible, for example. So I just want to make it clear, like if you've already done the research, this is not what that award is for. This has to be something that's new for you. It has to be some kind of new application. And I call this out because you really need to address this in one of the essays that is part of your application. The award is intended for a 12-month research plan, and those 12-month research plans are strongly preferred. I will say that I am aware that some of you do internships or have other summer jobs lined up. And if that's the case, you may propose research for academic year only, but you will have to explain that very clearly in your application as to why your research is academic year only and how you can still get it done in a shorter amount of time. And you will only be paid for the period that you research and not the entire $8,000. Same for those, or 8 for undergrad, 10 for grad, obviously. Same for anybody who's graduating early. If you intend to do your research summer, fall semester only, and you're graduating early, same thing. You've got to explain how and why you're doing what you're doing and how you're going to get everything done in a short period. And same thing, you're not going to be paid the full amount. Everything will be prorated if you do not research for the full 12 months. Hopefully that's clear. So within the 12-month period, you have to book time at a lab or with certain equipment or get samples in advance. So we've had students in the past, they're trying to get a meteor sample or something, and you have to request a sample 2 years in advance. Again, this might not be the right opportunity for you. You've got to get your research done in a 12-year period. And if you don't have permission to use a certain lab or telescope or get a material in the period of performance that you have proposed, then this might not be the right fit for you. So if there's anybody who needs to book time on a telescope or in a lab equipment or get a sample, you've got to get that before the start of your research period. One question I get a lot is that I'm a senior and I'm graduating, but I'm planning on going to grad school next year in North Carolina. Am I eligible to apply? The answer is yes. Then the second question I usually get is, well, do I apply as an undergrad or grad? And the answer to that is if you will be enrolled full-time as a graduate student next academic year, then you apply for the graduate research fellowship. Hopefully that's clear. And again, this is a research fellowship or scholarship. A lot of you will be conducting research at your university or college, but some of you may also be using a lab or facility that is government owned or owned by a commercial space provider, and that's fine. You'll have to get those permissions and prove that in your application, but your work still has to be supervised by a faculty member at your home institution, meaning you're not just doing something all loosey-goosey. Like there is somebody monitoring you to make sure you're getting done what you said you were going to get done. And that person is going to be the person that writes your letter of recommendation as well. Otherwise, we encourage everybody to apply. I often get the question, well, I'm not an aerospace major. Can I still apply? And the answer is absolutely yes. We've got students from all different academic backgrounds, all different personal backgrounds, and everybody who is qualified and meets the eligibility requirements are encouraged to apply. So this is a pretty busy slide, but I'm going to take a little bit of time to go through everything. And hopefully it'll answer a lot of the questions that you might have. And at some point, I'm also going to walk you through the application system so that you can see what it actually looks like and get a little familiar with it. And some of the content on these slides may make a little bit more sense at that time. But I'm going to go through this in a lot of detail in hopes to answer some of your questions in advance. So first and foremost, carefully read the website and the RFP, or the request for proposals. There's a lot of information in them, a lot of links, a lot of specific instructions. So take your time to carefully read it. Don't rush through, because the more carefully you read it, the easier going through the essays and application process will be. Like I said earlier, I am available to answer any questions that you might have, but I will tell you that if you email me or call me and try to ask me a question that's already answered in the RFP, I'm just going to kick you back to the RFP. So please take your time to read it thoughtfully and carefully. Secondly, follow the application instructions. The instructions are there for a reason. And I also encourage you that, because your proposals, your applications will be reviewed by a minimum of 3 external reviewers. And those reviewers are given scoring instructions, and we'll review that. They're given scoring instructions that are responsive to the application itself. So if you go off the rails and respond to something that's outside of what we're asking for, or maybe even cut and paste something from another application, like, you're not really responding to our questions and our application instructions, and you won't be scored as well. So follow the instructions. It'll save you a lot of time and trouble on the back end. And again, we'll go over the application in just a few. There is an online portal. I would encourage you to go ahead and register in the system and create an account. And even go ahead and fill in some of the application form details in advance. And again, I'll show that to you, but it's going to ask you things like, your name and address and your mentor, and it's going to ask you to upload transcripts. You don't have to do everything at once. If you do it a little bit, bite time a little bit, take a bite at a time, it's going to help you on the back end trying to scramble to upload everything at the last minute. So I know, especially while it's a little snowy and or icy across the state this weekend and you're stuck inside, like, this is a good thing to do. And same thing, like, we're going to review the application system today, but go ahead and get familiar with what it is we're asking you to do and how we're asking you to do it. It'll save you some stress from trying to submit at the last minute. Then when it comes to the essays, don't panic. We're not asking you for like a bunch of dissertations. They have word counts. They're fairly short, but you do have to put some thought into them, because we're asking you to propose your research like in a certain way, in a certain format. And so again, your reviewers are going to review with an expectation that you're going to show, your methodology or your timeline. And so you've got to really thoughtfully describe that in the amount of space that we give you, which again, for some can be a blessing and a curse. It's not huge essays that we're asking you to write. At the same time, like, you got to get to your point. You'll lose your reviewer if you kind of go off on tangents that aren't really related to the questions that we're asking you. And a lot of that is in the next box. You have to clearly explain your research plan, your methodology, and your individual contributions. So as a quick tip, a lot of times we'll see applications that say, we will be doing this, we will be doing that. And it's very obvious to the reviewer that you're kind of cutting and pasting from your lab, or you're cutting and pasting from your faculty members' research program as a base. That does not fly with our reviewers. They want to know specifically what you are doing. What is your specific role in that lab? What are your roles and responsibilities? What are you trying to do? What are you responsible for? So cutting and pasting from your lab or your faculty advisor will not be received well by our reviewers. So make sure you take the time to say specifically what you are doing. I do see in the next box a lot of students will lose points on some of their essays because, again, they're not aligning their responses to what's being asked. So we're asking you how your work is aligned to which mission directorate and how you're aligning to our NC Space Grant strategic plan. Those links are on our website and in our RFP. And I would suggest doing your homework and making sure you understand those in order to respond to that essay question, because I see a lot of students talk about their research, but they're not really talking about how it's relevant to NASA or to who we are or what we do. And even if their research is great, if you can't explain why it's relevant to what we would call, quote unquote, your client, you're going to lose points on that. So make sure you understand NASA and NC Space Grant. We covered this a little bit in the last slide about describing new knowledge, skills, or abilities you will gain. Not research you've already done, but research you plan on doing over this award period. And then finally, there's some of the essay questions are personal. They're asking you about how this award will contribute to your academic career and pathways. This is your opportunity for your reviewers to get to know you a little bit more and what about this work excites you and how you see it informing your academic career pathways. So feel free to be open and honest with our reviewers. They really like to get to know the students because you do become part of the Space Grant family, our network. And so they really want to get an understanding of who you are and what excites you. So therefore you'll see in red, like I know that y'all use a lot of AI to come up with research plans and essays. I will tell you this, the reviewers are immensely familiar with those tools as well. They also know when you're overusing them. I've seen a lot of reviewers slam students and not score them well for their overuse of AI and giving them pretty bland answers for some of their research that doesn't, again, answer what it is that we're asking you. So, you know, I know some of you may use AI, but I would caution you against overusing it because, again, our reviewers can kind of see right through that. And it doesn't help you answer, especially those personal questions about who you are and what you care about and why and how this award will help you. And then similarly, same thing I already talked about, cutting and pasting from a lab or a faculty member. Also not really well received by our reviewers. So just, you know, be smart about your work, but be careful taking too many shortcuts. That's all. So in the application on the website, we're telling you exactly where and how you'll score points. So none of that should be a surprise to you. You'll see that these are slightly different for grads and undergrads. But they're, you know, very similar. So, you know, right to the points. Obviously, grads, you're going to need to spend a lot of time discussing your research plans. Undergrads, you really got to take a lot of time to describe like your research and your goals. Again, you'll see that there's points scored for aligning to NASA mission directorates and NC Space Grant. If you don't do that, you're going to lose points. And those points may make or break whether or not you get an award. So don't take for granted understanding the NC Space Grant strategic plan. You'll see a lot of points scored for impact to your academic and career pathways. Again, those are your personal essays, not just about your research, but why this matters to you. And again, you know, your reviewers really want to get to know who you are and what excites you about your research. And then you're going to hear me talk quite a bit about your letter of recommendation from a faculty member. Putting it bluntly, don't wait for the last minute to ask for those letters from a faculty member. If you ask for a letter of recommendation at the last minute, you will not only miss the opportunity to build a mentorship with an advisor for your research, you will miss their feedback on your application to strengthen what it is you're proposing. But I know for me, when a student asks me to write a letter for them at the last minute, I'm just not going to put my best foot forward. I don't have time to do it. I've got a job, I've got other students, I got a family. Like, I can't pull something out for you that's going to benefit you if you don't take the time to ask me in advance. Faculty members have suggested to me that students ask for letters of recommendation no less than 3 weeks in advance. That also gives them time to understand your research and discuss in that letter how they will serve as a mentor to you. So you really need to take that time to not just say, oh, okay, somebody needs me to write a letter of recommendation, but this person's going to serve as a mentor to you. And what you're proposing in your research and what they outline in their letter as their mentorship with you goes a long way. And those either 10 or 15 points that you're going to score, that's pretty significant. And we've seen a few letters where what the faculty member says does not match what the student says, and you miss all those points, and you're really not going to score well if you are not on the same page with your mentor. So make sure, again, you go to them early and often, that they're aware of what your research is, that they're aware of what you expect their role to be, and build that relationship in advance. But anyway, this is how you score all those points. A few quick tips just to recap some of the things that we've already talked about, but these are kind of the majors. What goes into a research plan and how to write a methodology and all of that. Like, sure, chat GPT it or whatever, figure it out, especially if you're an undergrad and you've not done this before. Do your homework, try to figure out what those things are. And again, we've given you links to the NASA mission directorates and the Space Grant Strategic Plan. You're snowed or iced in this weekend, like, go online and do your homework. Be curious. NASA is looking for curious minds, and so are we. So go ahead and be curious and do the legwork. A tip that we get a lot from students as well as faculty members are to write a draft, ask for feedback. I don't care if it's in Word or some kind of other share doc. Write something where your faculty advisor, other students in your lab, a trusted friend, can go and look at your work. This makes sense. I don't understand this. What does that mean? It goes a long way. As you do that, make sure you understand what the word counts and/or page limits are in the application. That will save you a headache in the end, and we'll go over that. Take the time and have people review your work. It may seem clear to you, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be clear to somebody who reads this. And you'll notice that in our RFP, we've explained that, we have experts and professionals reviewing your applications, but they may not be an expert specifically in the thing that you do. And so you have to write this to somebody who's pretty darn smart, but it doesn't mean that they're an expert in exactly what you do. So you have to have very clean, clear writing skills so that anybody who's reading your research application can understand exactly what it is that you're saying. So make sure you have people review it, but not just people who are going to pat you on the back and say, great job. Go ahead and hand it to somebody who's going to say, I have no idea what you're talking about. It will only help you. So as you write your essays, and you'll see in the system, undergrads, you're going to cut and paste essays into the system. Graduate students, you're going to upload PDFs in the system, which means that undergrads, you will not have the opportunity to submit graphs and charts and fancy things. You have to use your words to describe your research. Graduate students, you do have the opportunity to include graphs and charts and images. We understand that your research may be a little further along, and sometimes you already have those for your research. So yours are going to be PDFs, whereas undergrads are going to be cut and pasting from a Word or other document. And the third tip here, we've gone over a lot, so I don't need to beat that dead horse any further. So I'm going to try to exit my screen now and hop over to the system. So bear with me as I try to navigate this. And I will probably ask you all again at some point whether you can see my screen. So hang in there with me for just a minute. I might have to go out and go back in. Can you all see my screen? That is the NC Space Grant website.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate you, Simon. Okay, so if you navigate to NC Space Grant, this is our home page with this nifty view from the Webb telescope. Under higher education, that's where you're going to find the Graduate Research Fellowship Program and the Undergraduate Research Scholarship. I'm going to go ahead and click on the Undergraduate Research Scholarship because that's what I want to do. So this is what our website looks like. One of our past researchers from Winston-Salem. So again, right there on the top, deadline, research topics, the full RFP. I'm old school. I personally like to print things out and highlight and scratch notes on things. You may have your way, but you can access the document with the full RFP here. This is the login to the system where it says start application. That'll direct you to our system where you create your own login. Sample application box. I'm going to click on that in a little bit, and we're going to go over what the application looks like so you're more familiar with that. And then past undergraduate research scholars, if you want to see what students in the past have done, if you're not sure what you should write as a title for your research, you can go check some of those out and see what students in the past have done. So on our website, you'll quickly see, overview. What is this? Why are we doing this? What's the purpose? The period of performance. Again, that's the 12 months. The award details, the money and how many. The eligibility, which we reviewed, but if you want to go back and review it, you can. Deadlines, deadlines, deadlines. A little bit about how to apply. This is where we tell you, there's an application system. You've got essays. You've got a faculty letter of recommendation. You're going to need transcripts. We're telling you everything you need to do. This comes back to my point earlier. Read the instructions. So this tells you exactly what you need to do. Again, this is just the start application is another link that brings you over to the system. The proposal review, again, we're telling you exactly how we're going to score points. And then under the awardee expectations is that if you actually get an award, these are the things that you're expected to do. I like to call this there's no such thing as money for nothing section of the RFP. So, you have to complete your research project. There's a final paper. We expect you to present the poster at the NC Space Symposium. There's other reporting that needs to be done. So know that if you are awarded, there are still things that we expect you to do being part of this award. So again, more links to past scholars and my contact information. So it's pretty tight and concise and clean. Again, if you want full information and a little bit more detail, I would suggest request for proposals. Go ahead and click that link and download that PDF. That's got as much juicy information as you can possibly get. Make sense? So I'm going to show you the system first. And then since I'm presenting and I'm in presenter mode, I can't see if there's questions popping up in the chat and I can't see if anybody's raising their hands. So I'll quickly walk you all through the system, and then we'll take a quick pause and I'll answer some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. So if you want to start your application, this is where you would log in. But let's say I just want to see what this thing actually looks like. You can go ahead and click on the sample application. And this is where, my guidance of saying, give yourself some time in advance to set up your application will pay off in the end, because there's some general fields you have to fill in, like your name and your email and your phone. Congressional district, this is for us just because we report back up to Congress and they like to know who in their district is getting funded. So this is really just a piece of information for us. This is where you're validating that you're a US citizen. Here is where you're talking about what university or college you go to, your major. I appreciate that some schools call these programs or whatever specialty. They're not just called majors anymore, but you get the point. Some of you have minors, some of you may not. Only put it in there if it's relevant to what it is you're proposing in your research. Your university standing as of spring. We very rarely have freshmen get awards. They're usually sophomore, junior, and senior. Graduates on your system, you'll see master's or PhD. Your expected or anticipated date of graduation. This is where you're going to confirm your GPA. Again, it's a minimum of a 3.0. I appreciate that not all universities operate on a GPA on a 4-point scale anymore. Your academic offices should be able to tell you how to convert into a GPA standard. There's a lot of scholarships and fellowships, internships, job applications where you're expected to have a minimal GPA, and your academic offices know this, and they should be able to help you figure out how to convert. If you cannot figure that out with your academic office, then and only then reach out to me and I'll work with you on that. But all universities should tell you how to be able to convert to a GPA scale. It's still the norm in the industry. This area here is where you're expected to upload your transcripts. So again, you have to validate that you have a 3.0. It's fine if you have unofficial right now, but you will be asked for official. And as you have sufficient time at this point to ask for official transcripts, I would encourage you to go ahead and just get that over with and ask for official transcripts now. And you're going to upload them here. These next two questions are really just for us. It's about what highest degree you think you might want to obtain, and what do you think you might want to study. Just fill these out to the best of your ability. Here's where you're going to put your research mentor's name, your faculty member at your institution, their name, their title, their institution, department, It's really important that you get their email correct. That's why we ask you to confirm that. And the reason is that this is a really important sentence here. After you've submitted your application, and only after you've submitted your application, will the system send an email to your faculty member asking them to upload their letter of recommendation. And this is why we encourage you not to wait until the last minute to submit your applications, because in essence, then you are forcing your faculty member to wait until the last minute to submit their letter of recommendation for you. And their last day is Monday. And I can assure you that faculty members do not want to be uploading stuff for you over their weekend on their personal time. So you have until the last minute deadline to upload your application, but I don't think your faculty advisors are going to be very happy about it. And again, I would not ask them to wait until they get this link to write your letter of recommendation. They need to have it ready to roll, because again, you're clicking your submission on a Friday. They only have until Monday to get that letter in. So make sure their letter is done and it's on time. Also, because if you take the time and effort to submit your entire application and then your faculty member misses the deadline, your application is considered incomplete and it will not be reviewed. So again, be very nice to your faculty advisors. Title, please don't be cute or fancy. Just tell us what your research is. Again, you can go look at the past awards to see what their research is, and that will give you an idea of what it is that we're looking for. So undergrads, here's your essays, and here's what the upload will look like for you. You can see that there's your essay, and it also gives you your word count. These are not huge word counts, but I would encourage you not to be too short on what you're explaining too, because your reviewers won't score you very well if you short your essay responses. But this is where you're going to cut and paste your written description. So as you can see, you do not have the ability to put charts and images and graphs. You have to use your words to just to respond to your essays. And grad students, I will show you yours in just a minute, so hang in there. This is where your second essay, undergrads, we're asking you again about your alignment to NASA Mission Directorate or the strategic plan. We've given you links. We expect you to know what those are. Short word count, but you better say how what you're doing is relatable to what it is that we're doing. And we even specifically ask you to tell us what mission directorate at NASA that your work is aligned to. So take your snow weekend and poke around, have some fun, be curious. And again, essay on those academic and career interests. It's a short essay, but tell us who you are. I do not advise you to use ChatGPT for this. It's a personal essay question. Reviewers do not like when they can tell a personal essay is done by ChatGPT. They're not fans at all. And same for impact. How will this research project springboard your academic and career interests? And just a little bit of a tip on this one. Look, I could use 8 grand or 10 grand. It's nice to be financially compensated for your research, but if the intended impact is just that, hey, I need the money, reviewers aren't going to appreciate that very much. Because like I said, we could all use the money right now. But if it's more like, hey, if I get this research award and because of that, I don't have to take this job. And because I don't have to do this job, I can spend more time in a lab. And this is why that's important to me. Your reviewer is going to respond a heck of a lot better than, yeah, I could just use 8 grand cash. So a little tip for you there. This is your project term and location. We're just asking you if you're going to be at your university or off-site. You're validating that your research mentor has looked at and approved your work and they're going to mentor you and all that good stuff. Here, you're just going to put any past or present financial aid. In essence, we really need to know about other federal awards. NASA has certain double dipping rules. So for example, you can't be funded as a NASA intern and as a NASA fellow or scholar at the same time. You can't get 2 pockets of money. So even if you have a faculty member who's funding you off of a NASA grant presently, you can't do that and do this at the same time. So you have to tell us what money you're getting. Because if you get caught doing that, you get in trouble and then you get kicked off of your awards. And that is not a good look for you or your advisor. Also, let's say you're doing research for us and you're doing research under NSF. For us, you have to be a full-time student. I have concerns if you're going to be a full-time student and researching for us and researching for NSF. I just want to have a conversation with you that you're not freaking yourself out by overburdening yourself. Research and money is one thing, but mental, physical, and emotional health has more value than that. So we're just going to have a little conversation about your workload and time management. So I would suggest, again, be very transparent in this. We've had to kick a student off of the award before because NASA found out they were getting funded from 2 different places. Does not bode well for future employment in the space industry if you're not being honest. Previous space award, yes or no? Tell us about which one. And then here's some optional information. It just helps us and the federal government to know our general demographics. You don't have to answer these questions, obviously, but it just helps us know if we're reaching people, not reaching people. I just want to also say that I appreciate you all as individual human beings and fully appreciate that not all of you are radio buttons and fit into neat little boxes to click. But these categories are the federal categories and they are what they are, and we can't change them. So you can always choose not to report, not to disclose. That's your right. But I sure would appreciate if you could answer this question. How did you hear about Space Grant? That helps us know a little bit more about how we're reaching you. Like, is social media working? Are you getting it from your faculty advisors? Like, we just like to know how you heard about us in hopes that we can do a better job reaching you where you are. And then the last thing you're going to do is certify all of these things. And then obviously I don't have a submit button because this is the sample system, but then you would go ahead and submit. Also, you cannot see in my sample system, but you have the ability, I think there's buttons at the top and the bottom. You'll have the ability to go in it, log in and out, and save as you go. So, today, do your personal information, put your education in, and, when you get your transcripts, upload those another day. Go talk to your mentor, upload your mentor another day, and then just save and go in and out of the system as many times as you want. Do not wait until the last minute because, like this weekend, there may be a storm, there may be power outages. We don't know. Get your stuff done in advance. Don't wait till the last minute. So I'm going to quickly shut out of that and hopefully show you just the difference in the graduate system. Can you see my screen presently? Anybody?
Yep, I can.
Simon, you're my hero today. Thank you. All right, so Simon's my hero. Y'all better step up. Okay, so this is what the grad students will see. So undergrads, you saw that you have a cut and paste of the boxes for your essays. Grad students, like everything else is the same for y'all, except you're going to do 4 separate PDF uploads because you can do fancy charts and graphs and images because we expect that you are graduates and PhDs and that your research will have already some fancy graphs and charts and images. So otherwise, PhD grad students, everything else is the same, no surprises. Now that I think about it, I do want to show you one last thing, if you will permit me. And your answer should be yes. I want to let me see. I want to show you this really quickly because I don't want you to think we're being sneaky and showing you any surprises. So here where it says sample mentor letter of recommendation, I want you all to see what your faculty advisor is going to get. So we're not asking them sneaky questions about you. It's literally like, great, confirm your name and all this stuff. Slap your recommendation in there, certify that you're agreeing to be this person's mentor, certify that I'm being honest, boom, submit. So I did want to show you all that that's all what your mentor, the person writing you your letter of recommendation, will see. So we're not asking them if you're naughty or any of that, boom, that simple. So I just wanted to be fully transparent about that. So that you all now know what they see. You also know that they have their deadline, so they're informed about their deadline. And, we're asking them to speak to, your excellence in academics, your leadership qualities, is your research relatable, all that kind of stuff. So no surprises there. So now you see what your faculty members will see. So I'm going to stop share for a quick minute, and I am going to take a pause before we continue in the presentation and ask if any of you have any questions that everybody can hear. If you have a question specific to you, you might want to email me or call me. But if there's a general question anybody has, now would be a good time. And if If you want to pop off camera, you can. If you want to put it in the chat, you can. Any questions?
Yeah, just a really quick question here. Thank you for all the information so far. On the PhD or the graduate application, I'm a PhD student but doing a concurrent master. Can that count as, can I put that in as like the secondary degree or the minor?
Ooh, good question. I don't see why not.
Okay.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of them that are like, we have the same thing. We have undergrads that are like doing the 5 year master. So like, let me just clarify that. Oops, sorry, I just kicked my kitten. Sorry, kitten. Um, so what you would kind of want to do is think about where are you in your studies as a fall the next year, right? So starting September, whatever, 2026, like at that point, are you in your master's? Are you in your PhD? Are you in your undergrad or are you in your 5 year master? Like, where are you along your pathway? And just answer those questions kind of to the best of your ability. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Hi, I also have a question. So, is there a limited word count for the graduate application for each of those essays, or not?
Yes, it's in the PDF. It's in the
Okay.
RFP. There's a
Okay, great.
page count for y'all. So
I see.
undergrads, because they're a cut and paste, have a word count. In the RFP, graduate students will find the page limits.
Awesome. Thank you. And then for the personal information, can we put our preferred name or do we put our legal first name and last name?
Fair question. You can put your preferred in. I mean, this isn't a government application. We're not checking your ID.
Okay,
I
great.
will say if you go on to get the award, good question. If you go on to get the award, the name you use, you will have to create an account with NASA, and your name will have to match what's on your bank account because I have to send you money to your bank. So at that point, something should be matchy matchy. But for me, let me give you an example. My legal name is Sandra. My friends and family and colleagues call me Sandy. I'd probably pop Sandy in there and not care. I've also had some students who are transitioning in the middle of this process, and they've had to go back in and change their name in the middle, whether they're transitioning gender or they get married or some kind of other legal situation. We can always go back in and change and fix something. I'm not too worried about that, but that is a very good question.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Hi, I had a quick question.
Your volume is very, very low. So if you could crank that, that would be awesome.
Hi, can you hear me better now?
Yes, I sure can. Go ahead.
Okay. Uh, are we able to email you directly to uh okay, let me rephrase. I have 90% of the components, sort of materials and devices that I would need to conduct my research question. I'm trying to find a partner lab in the sort of Triangle region that has one other type of machine. Are you someone that I could email to say, hey, do you know of anyone who has this tool?
You can, but I would bet that people in your faculty member and your department would know much better than I would. And the reason is because, like I always tell people, like I can't do the rocket science and the astrophysics and the astrobotany, like all of it at the same time. I can try. So yes, you can email it to me and see if I know anybody. But usually, like your academic institution, because you're studying that specific thing there, might know way better than I do. So I would start with them. But if they're not sure, I sure as heck can try to put some feelers out for you. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? So I'm crushing it. I'm answering your questions so perfectly that there's no other questions. Yes, I'm killing it. All right, I'm going to go back to my presentation and we're just going to finish up a few quick slides just about some other stuff. So bear with me. I'm going to try to go back to share and hopefully this works. But if it doesn't, I know Simon will have my back. Okay, did that work?
Yeah. Well, I see your PowerPoints, but not in presenter view.
Okay, let me press it again. How about now?
Not quite. Still the PowerPoint.
Dang, Zoom.
But
I can see it. I can see it in presentation mode, but Zoom doesn't like it. So just give me one more minute. Come on, Zoom. Any luck now? I might have to stop
it's still in
it
the
and start again.
PowerPoint.
Don't you love when Zoom does what you want it to do? I'm going to stop share and then I'm going to try it again. You all know the struggle is real. Zoom is not cooperating today. Zoom's like, there's an ice storm coming. I don't want to work either. Okay. Try one more time, but I'm not confident. It seems to be cranky. Any luck?
I think it's still just the PowerPoint, but I guess you
All
could
right,
try to
well, we're going
scroll
to
through.
continue. If Zoom's being cranky, we're just going to let it be cranky, but hopefully my slides will advance. Can you see the slide on NASA internship?
No, it's on system overview right now.
It's just stuck.
Yeah.
All right. Grr. Let me try to stop this again. I don't know why it's being like this. And if I have to do it verbally, then I will do it verbally, but let's see. Yeah. Zoom seems to be frozen. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, y'all. But I think it's really funny when this happens on NASA meetings. I don't know if you've ever been in NASA meetings and NASA can't get their technology to work. So I don't feel that bad about it. Okay, I'm going to try this one last time. But I'm not confident. How about now?
I see the NASA internships like PowerPoint, so I
Sure,
guess if you
that's it.
scroll through it, then I think it should work. If that makes
Okay,
sense.
so I need, I
Yeah.
need you to be on NASA internships because we're going to talk about some other funding.
Yeah.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Yay. All right, let's just go with that. So let's say you sat through this webinar and you're like, ugh, that's a lot of work and I don't like essays and I want to do more hands-on stuff with NASA. Well, guess what? NASA internships. There are summer NASA internships. We typically fund undergrads for this, not grads, just because, sorry, grads, y'all are too expensive and too far along. But we usually fund about 5 to 7 interns from the state of North Carolina. They're funded at a level of 8,200. You are selected by NASA, not us. It's a very interesting process. You'll see the link at the bottom. You go on to this STEM Gateway site. You create a profile. You have to apply to specific opportunities. I don't know that if any of you have done this NASA thing before, where you've submitted one resume and then you click as many opportunities as you want. They've changed their system. Now you have to uniquely apply to open opportunities. But the good news is it also gives you the opportunity to customize your resume per opportunity. So you can submit as many applications as you want, but you have to focus your application for each one. So it's really interesting, and you can apply to all sorts of different centers, different areas. It's really exciting stuff. And the way that that works is that after you apply, someone at NASA may select you. And then what they do is they typically come back to us and they say, hey, we've got Simon Wu. He looks like a good candidate for this opportunity out at NASA Glenn. Will you endorse him? Meaning, will NC Space Grant pay for his internship at NASA Glenn? And we'll either say yay or nay, based on how exciting the research is. Obviously, we're not going to fund, NASA folks that just want you to do database entry. That's kind of boring. Also, it's kind of first come, first serve. So if we get 5 to 7 students and we're tapped out of money, and then, 3 months from now, a NASA person comes and says, hey, will you fund Isabel? Or we're going to say, sorry, we're tapped out of money. So the moral of this story is apply early. Get in there early because you have a better opportunity. You have a better chance of getting selected and funded. So again, snowy, icy weekends, great thing to do, assuming that you don't lose power. So again, link is at the bottom. You can also just Google or whatever your preferred browser is, whatever, NASA internships, and it'll pop up. Same kind of thing, US citizens, 3.0 GPA, so similar to what we're doing. I do want to let you know, regardless of whether you're a scholar or fellow with us or an intern with NASA or any of our industry partners, in April, we're having a big NC Space Symposium in Raleigh, North Carolina. There's hundreds of students that go to this every year. It gives you a chance to present a poster. Again, whether you are or are not a student with us, you get to hear from NASA, commercial space folks. You'll get to meet like-minded people. It is a remarkably inexpensive conference to go to. Typically, a conference like this will cost you hundreds of dollars to go to. I think we typically charge students like 35 bucks. So it's just a really good day of meeting with like-minded people and schmoozing with folks in commercial space and NASA. That is, if the government doesn't shut down, then they can travel this year. So if even this year you want to submit an abstract to present a poster at the symposium this year, the abstract system is open until the end of January. You can do that this weekend to get an abstract in. Come present at the conference. It looks great on your resume. And then registration for the conference will be opening in early February. So follow us on social media and look out for other notifications about when it opens. Again, it's just a really great day to meet with, like we like to say, other space nerds. It's just a fun day. It's rare that stuff like this happens in North Carolina, but it's a really good day. This is the one that's happening this year. Obviously, you learned earlier from the awardee requirements that if you are a fellow scholar or intern with us, you are required to submit or present a poster or potentially even be selected to do a talk at the symposium next year. So going to the one this year will just give you a really good idea of like what it's all about. But anyway, it's a really cool event. We'll all be there. It's an exciting day. There's more event information on our website if you want to go check it out, but save the date, submit an abstract if you want. Otherwise, look out and register and meet us in February. So I just wanted to throw those last 2 slides in there because I thought that was other really important information that you all should know. But otherwise, that's it from me. So again, I'll open it up to see if anybody has any last questions or anything. Anyone? Okay, great. So listen, y'all, I will take this presentation, or I have another information session in February, whichever one I don't sound like a bigger dork on, will eventually be posted up to our website so you can watch this on demand, at your leisure. Again, there's everything you could ever want to know is either on our website or in the application system, but I am here for you if you need me and have specific questions. I look forward to looking at your applications. Alas, I am not the one that reviews them. We have external experts for that. But I wish you all the best of luck. Have fun with your applications, see where curiosity brings you. And otherwise, I'm going to check the chat quickly. And then, but if there's folks that need to go, you can go unless you have a question that's in the chat. So bear with me. I'm going to just quickly check the chat. Oh, nope, it's just about how my slides weren't showing up. All right. All right, well, I'm going to let you go. Have a great rest of your day and stay safe this weekend and do good things. Take care, y'all. Bye.